The watches that are mentioned and promoted are always at retail. I'm not going to name them. I'm not going to name anybody because these are lovely people and we're all watch collectors here, enthusiasts. But more and more, when I watch YouTube influencers, the big channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, I find myself sitting watching and I think, well, I wouldn't recommend that. That doesn't apply to me. No, I don't agree with that. There are vested interests at work, businesses to run, and I'm convinced we aren't always getting the advice that is appropriate for us. I love some of these influencers, and I watch, as you probably do, dozens of them. But more and more, there's a select few of the high-end influencers, I would say, I find myself watching and thinking, I'm a world away from that. That doesn't apply to me. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't buy that. If I bought that, I'd buy it on the second-hand market, 1 or 2 years old, at 60% of the RRP. This is the way collectors think. It's not the way naive customers might think, or somebody looking for one particular watch online, getting as much advice as they can. Let me give you the perfect example. And it's taken me a while to suss this out. There's one watch that gets hyped by related YouTubers, I would say. I know that they're friends. I didn't know that until recently. They've got huge followings. I would imagine subscribers from one particular channel latch straight onto the other channel. But the Omega Seamaster 300M with a white dial. I'm sure you know the channels that I'm talking about. It's a nice watch. It's a lovely watch. There are hundreds of competitors to that watch, Swiss made with Swiss movements. However, it's a lovely watch. That watch has crept up in price. The Tudor Pelagos, that is up to around £5,000. Brilliant watch. But has nobody told these watch manufacturers things are tough? Has nobody told the watch manufacturers about basic economics? If you keep putting the prices up, demand goes down. These aren't necessarily Veblen goods, where the price goes up because they're perceived as luxury. I don't feel that's the case with Omega. It might be with Rolex, but with Omega in particular, and Swatch Group brands, I think they really need to watch out, but they still get promoted and pushed. If people come to YouTube channels for advice, which they do, that advice needs to be fairly, it needs to be genuine, it needs to be on the ball. Are these influencers not aware? In fact, they probably are well aware of the state of the watch market. Just today, I read about Breitling, the private equity group that owns Breitling, writing it down massively, the value down, having rushed to open over 300 boutiques in the last couple of years. I've been talking about this for a couple of years. Check the videos. But this is genuine, real market facts that you're getting here, as opposed to being pushed. Expensive watches that are increasing in price year on year. Now, I love these watch YouTubers. They keep the enthusiasm ticking and burning, and their videos are of top quality. But it took me a while to realize that I don't think they're geared to enthusiasts and collectors anymore. I think they're geared to promoting watches and pushing them from retail outlets, sadly. They'll have their own watch stores. There will be authorized dealers for certain brands. That's fine. Everybody has to make a living. But there are millions of other options out there for true enthusiasts and collectors. I would think that many of these videos are geared, sadly, for naive customers who are looking for one particular watch and they want to do the ultimate research on that particular watch at retail. Us collectors and enthusiasts, we don't think like that. I get immense pleasure from rotating my watches and wearing a full variety of value gems, from neo-vintage Omega that shouldn't depreciate too much and gives me, I love looking down at it, the wrist presence, through to the lower priced end of things, Vostok divers. I love the aesthetic of a Vostok. And even one of these AliExpress watches, I keep circulating these about. I get great fun and enjoyment from doing that. But spending almost £7,000 on a brand new Omega that'll be worth £5,000 in a couple of years' time, if you can find a buyer, that doesn't spell any sort of enjoyment or fun for me. So there you go. I'd watched some videos over the last couple of days, and I just found myself as I was watching them thinking, that doesn't apply to me. I don't agree with that. I wouldn't pay that. I can't believe, in particular, Swatch Group are putting their prices up year on year. No, it's not happening. We're not going to pay it. And those that do, I would say, are possibly a bit naive. And yet channels are still pushing them. I saw a channel today suggested 5-watch collection for £10,000. Lovely presenter. I think he's great. He gets out into the outdoors. I'm not going to mention who it is. Gets out into the outdoors with a camera, great photography, full of life. But come on. He had £10,000 to spend, right? 4,300 of it was spent on a Tudor, as that was the dive watch option, which left him scrabbling around for the final chronograph and the field watch. All of the watches obviously were at retail. Now, if I was building, or you were building a 5-watch collection for £10,000, chance would be a fine thing. We would be scouring those classifieds, would have done our research, would know that you can pick up a pre-owned Peter Blake Omega for around £2,500, would slot that in with a odd ETA movement. We might look at some sort of Grand Seiko quartz for the dress watch option for another £2,000. He did suggest the Longines Heritage Conquest. Great choice for around that outlay, by the way. But that's what we would be doing. For the everyday beta watch, would probably have a good quality, strong G-Shock or CWC. For around £600 to £1,000, perhaps a metal G-Shock, something like that, with an alarm. For the chronograph, would probably stick to quartz, possibly a Seiko quartz chronograph, solar powered, speed timer. And we might even get to that point and think, oh, we've spent £4,500. I'll tell you what, we'll just keep the other £5,500. So, in summary, it's nice to see what's out there, to be reminded of what's available, to quite frankly breathe a sigh of relief when you see that you've dodged a bullet not buying retail from the Swatch Group, or even Seiko. You can find Seikos at great discounts. I saw an Alpinist the other day, reduced from £690 to £460 in this sale. Keep your eyes open. What do you think? Just a little rant there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.